Hello, YouTubees!
Very warm welcome to another episode of Retro TV with Lumpy Bob and Bird. And what are we doing today?
Today we're having another quiz. We're going to be playing Name the Year. We've got 3 decades, the 60s, the 70s and the 80s. And what we're going to do, we're going to play some... in fact, we're not going to play anything, are we?
No, I mean, we're just going to go through the
TV listings.
Yeah, and obviously some films of that year and some TV shows.
Who would have been on top of the pops that year?
Yeah, and we'll do that as well. So...
are you going to sit down? Are you going to stand on your feet?
No, I'm fat enough. So what we're going to do, so this year, you've got to try and guess it. From the 1960s, that helps. So, we're going to start off with some TV programmes and we're going to go with Watch With Mother.
And what was on that particular?
It was Camberwick Green.
Camberwick Green, from the county of Trumptonshire. It was animated, I'm sure you'll all remember, I'm sure none of you need to be reminded, but the great characters from Camberwick Green, Chigley and Trumpton, narrated by the great Play School presenter Brian Cant, who also sang the songs, and made by Gordon Murray, a great animator of his time. But when they never made 13 episodes, but when they finished making those episodes, he burnt all the sets and he got rid of all the puppets as well.
Did he really?
So it was a shame. They've been recreated, but yeah, he had nothing more to do with them. What else have we got?
Next one on the list is Jack and Ori.
Jack and Ori. Jack and Ori. Jack and Ori. Do, 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 do.
In that way, they just sat down and read a book or something.
Sat down, read a story, a chapter, probably about a chapter a day. I mean, the greatest... they had some great people on Jack and Ori. They had some great storytellers, and because it gave them airtime, it gave them an opportunity to show what great storytellers they were. And because of that, they went on to some great things. They had Dame Judi Dench. She was popular on Jack and Ori. Kenneth Williams was also very popular. But the greatest storyteller with the most episodes was the late, great, passed very, very recently, Bernard Cribbins. Oh. He loved doing Jack and Ori. And yeah, what's on next on the list then?
Crackerjack.
Did you say it back? Crackerjack. So this was from the 60s, so this would have been around the time of Leslie Crowther with Eamon Andrews, quite possibly.
Well, I didn't know he was on that.
Yeah, he was on there. Ronnie Corbett was actually also a member of the Crackerjack team way back in the day. Oh, right. 5 to 5 on a Friday. It was Crackerjack. What else have we got?
We've got Schools and Colleges.
Remember, sitting in the school hall on your bum with your legs crossed when they wheeled in the television on the big legs.
That's the one.
You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
There were some great shows on schools and colleges. I can't remember many of them though.
No, and then we've got Junior Points of View. So obviously I would have thought that's the Points of View. But
Points of View for kids.
Yeah, fair enough. And then we have got Dactari. Someone do a lion, I presume.
The cross-eyed lion. I never really watched it. I know my brother used to enjoy it. If you're watching, and you'd better be. Dactari with Clarence, the cross-eyed lion.
Clarence, yes. Do you remember that? What about what we got now? We've got The World of Worcester.
The World of Worcester, based on the P.G. Woodhouse series. People may remember Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie did it later, but I think it was Ian Carmichael that played Bertie Wooster in this decade. We want to know what was the year.
What was the year? Because we've got some films now that was in that year. And we have got Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh, great film. With Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty.
That's right.
Superb film.
The Graduate.
Ooh, with Mrs. Robinson, Dustin Hoffman and not Faye Dunaway, and Bancroft and Dustin Hoffman. The soundtrack by Simon and Garfunkel.
The Jungle Book.
Look for the bare necessities. 19.
Hey, nearly giving you there.
Teasing you there. Yes.
And you only live twice. Obviously, James Bond.
James Bond film with Sean Connery. I think that was the 5th Bond film in the series.
Casino Royale.
Which was also
the
first book written by Ian Fleming of James Bond, but this was a spoof, and yeah, David Niven played James Bond as a pensioner, basically.
There you go. Right, we're on to TV shows now that year.
Okay.
And we have got The Prisoner.
Not Cell Block H, not Wentworth Detention Centre, but Patrick McGowan in Port Merion in Wales, being chased around by a rubber ball. I don't really remember much of it, to be honest with you. I know not a lot of it made sense.
Ask the Family.
Ask the Family. Quiz show. 2 families. Robert Robinson with a Frank Boffcombe over. 2 kids. Mum and dad. Ask lots of questions.
I remember now. Yeah, I do remember that. Captain Scarlet.
Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons. Another from the Jerry Anderson stable. With the music from the great Barry Gray. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Do not ask.
Do not adjust your set. Is that what you're trying to say?
I can't remember.
Do not adjust your set. Now, who remembers Do Not Adjust Your Set? Do you?
No.
You don't?
No.
Okay, I'll give you some of the names of the lineup. There was Michael Palin.
Right.
There was Eric Idle.
Oh, yeah.
There was Graham Chapman. I think I'm right in saying that. There was Denise Coffey. And there was a young comedy actor just starting out called David Jason.
Well, we obviously know who he is.
So we know that Michael Palin and Eric Idle, they moved on to do Monty Python, but they left Denise Coffey and David Jason behind. What would have happened had David Jason joined Monty Python? I don't know. We wouldn't have had Del Boy, we wouldn't have had Granville, Pop Larkin or Frost. I'm sure we wouldn't.
Trumpton.
Now, this was, again, the stable of Gordon Murray. We've always mentioned Camberwick Green. Trumpton. Everybody remembers Trumpton, surely.
Shall we go on to some songs of that year, then?
Who would have been on top of the pops?
The Monkees, I'm a Believer.
Yeah,
if you can remember that.
I'm sure the kids would remember that as well, because that was popularised again by Donkey from the Shrek movies.
The Move, Flowers in the Rain.
Any ideas what the year might be? Put your comments in the comments below. And with any memories that you've got of any of these shows, or any of the films or songs that we're going to talk about, we'd love to hear from them. And thanks to those that have done so far. Don't forget to subscribe and like and hit the bell. What else have we got?
And comment down there. Engelbert Humperdinck. The what?
The Last Waltz. The Last Waltz.
Yes.
It was also that year he had a hit with Please Release Me. What was the year?
Procol Harum. Whiter Shade of Pale. Probably one of the best songs made in
ever
the 60s.
Ever written. And always it's topping the charts of, especially on Boom Radio. I'm going to give them a shout. On Boom Radio every year when they have their top 200, Procol Harum always hits the top. Made no sense, but it always is the top of the chart.
I'm just going to give the song out here and then you can fill it in. Hole in My Shoe.
Hole in My Shoe by Traffic. And again, back in the 80s, it was covered by Neil from the Young Ones. And if you might remember, he started it with Hello Shoes, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to stand on you again.
And the last one for this year is Scaffold. Thank you very much. I thought it was something else, but it wasn't.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lumpy. It was the Scaffold. Mike McCartney.
Mike McCartney.
Paul's brother was one of the lead vocals on that. So that was that year.
It was. Now we're going to move on to another year in the 70s. So we'll start again with some TV programmes that you may remember. Mr. Men.
Who remembers the Mr. Men? Narrated by, of course, the great Arthur Lowe. Based on the books of Roger Hargreaves.
And we have the Multicoloured Swap Shop.
So what was the year? Multicoloured Swap Shop. The nemesis of Tiswas. Presented by Noel Edmonds, John Craven and Keith Chegwin. Later with Maggie Philbin. But in this year it was just the three of them.
And we've got Grandstand.
With Frank Boff. With the comb over.
Doctor Who.
And I think this was the year that the story was the City of Death. I think that was the episode with Tom Baker.
Oh, right. Starsky and Hutch. So we've just gone over to America now.
Jumped over the pond just because it's a classic and we can't have a Saturday night of the 70s without a bit of Starsky and Hutch.
Match of the Day, which is also today as well.
It's still going. Michael Parkinson, he jumped from channels as well, from ITV to BBC and back again. Some great guests, and you can still catch a lot of his interviews on the BBC iPlayer. Definitely worth a watch.
Right, we're on to some films now that year. The Deep.
Never really watched it, but I'm guessing it's something to do with Jaws.
Water, I would have thought, but there you go. The Spy Who Loved Me.
With Roger Moore.
Yes. And Star Wars, that'll be that a year.
Of course.
Is that the first film,
it was the fourth film, but the first one to be made. The
Right.
fourth story, The New Hope, the first one to be made. And then before they started doing messing about with the prequels and everything.
And this, I can't believe they did a movie of this, but Are You Being Served?
Are You Being Served?
How the hell can you make a movie about that?
So the staff of Grace Brothers go on holiday while Grace Brothers closes for 2 weeks for renovation and decoration. So they go off to the Costa Plonka.
Of course they do.
The Sweeney.
Sweeney the movie. Can't remember.
The movie of the Sweeney. Never watched it. I suppose it was just a very long, again, an extended episode made into a film.
I'm sure I've seen it. Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Delboy's favourite film, I think.
I think it was.
And a great soundtrack. But what was the year?
Right, now we're on to some TV shows. And we're going to start off with The Professionals, Bodie and Doyle, which was featured in the last episode that we did.
Yes, The Professionals. When the Sweeney ended, they had to do something to keep the interest there. So they bought out The Professionals, and they bought the butler from Upstairs Downstairs, Gordon Jackson, in to play George Cowley.
There you go. It will be all right on the night.
I'm sure it will, with Dennis Norden, who always held the clipboard, but there's never anything on it.
Citizen Smith, written by
John Sullivan.
There you go.
Tooting popular front.
And he was from Ilkeston, wasn't he? Who played
Robert Lindsay was. Yeah, he was.
Sure he was. Right, tonight. So we've got Krypton Factor.
The Krypton Factor with Gordon Burns. Granada Television. A test of durability and endurance and physical fitness as well as mental.
One I've never heard of, Secret Army.
Secret Army.
No idea.
It was a drama, but probably more popular as a parody because Hello Hello in the 80s was a parody of Secret Army and very, very close to Secret Army as well was Hello Hello.
Sharp Intake of Breath.
Now, you remember this one?
No.
It was another David Jason comedy. It ran for 2 or 3 series, and also the evil Alan Bradley from Coronation Street, Mark Eden, played his partner. David Jason. Not partner, but as in pal.
Take Heart.
Take Heart. Another sequel from Vision On with the great Tony Hart. Take Heart before we had Heartbeat, which was later on in the 80s.
Oh, right, okay. Now we're going to move on to some songs of this year.
Who's on top of the pops this year then, Bob?
David Soul.
David Soul, back from
Don't
Starsky and
give
Hutch.
us up on us, mate.
Don't give up on us. He also had a hit that year with Silver Lady.
Leo Sayer.
Leo Sayer with the curly hair. And
When
that would have been
I Need You.
When I Need You.
Manhattan Transfer.
Chanson d'amour.
Kenny Rogers.
You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille. Which
What?
should have been written by a cobbler, a really bad cobbler. Lucille?
That was that thing
Lucille?
I said you were being funny about. I thought it was nearly funny, that.
Yeah, and I couldn't remember it.
Yeah, well, you did remember it. So, Hot Chocolate.
Hot Chocolate. So you win again. The great Errol Brown.
And we have Brotherhood of Man.
So this wasn't the one that Lumpy thought it was, because that was the year before.
No.
But this was Angelo. What year was Angelo in the charts?
Elvis Presley, Way Down.
It's not any more than that. The great man himself.
And Wings, Mull of Kintyre.
Will of Kintyre. Or, if you're a Nottingham Forest fan, the City Ground song.
Oh,
City Ground, almost rolling in from the Trent. In fact, he said, Paul McCartney, because Paul McCartney did say, if ever Nottingham Forest got back into the Premiership, he would perform Mull of Kintyre on the centre spot of the City Ground.
And did he?
Never happened. Never happened. So come on, Paul. Sir Paul, please, give it to your fans.
Right, here we go then. This is now into the 1980s.
What year?
So, off with the TV programmes again of this year.